Hi, and welcome to Precis Insights. I am Simone, Global Content Lead at Precis, and I have today with me Rhys, who is Chief Solutions Officer in the Data and Tech team at Precis. It was a bit of a mouthful, but we're also going to talk about something that's quite complex. Now, there are models built into all kinds of platforms. Rhys, can you walk me through how advertisers can make models work for them?
Absolutely. So yeah, modeling, it's a really important topic because it's a huge part of our lives as digital marketers today. There are a few things that advertisers just really need to be aware of in terms of the pitfalls, but also the opportunities that models present. First things first, that the models exist in a lot of the platforms that advertisers are using at the moment. So the media buying platforms, the analytics platforms, and everything else. And it's not always that easy to tell what's modeled and what's not. So as an advertiser, one of the most important things, first of all, is just to figure out what's going on. Like, where are models being deployed? How much of your data is based on, observed actual things that are happening, and how much of it is modeled? Just understanding that as a baseline is really, really, really important, and not just taking all the numbers you see all the time completely for granted and taking them as read. That's kind of step one, just understanding what's going on. And then step two, once you understand that, is to figure out what to do with it. Now, you might get worried at first looking at this. You might think, okay, well, actually a whole lot of my data that I'm using day to day is modeled. And a lot of those models are also built by the media buying platforms or the analytics platforms. And they're a little bit black boxy. It's kind of hard to know what's going on inside those models. And for a lot of advertisers, that could ring some alarm bells. And it should ring some alarm bells. You might think, well, there shouldn't be models in these platforms. I should know what's actually going on. And it's a problem to buy media from the company that's then modeling the media spend to tell me how well it's performing. It's a lot of complications. But models can be useful and they can be really impactful. You just have to be aware of what's happening and put in the right checks and balances in order to make the most of them.
So what if you wanted to build your models yourself? How would you go about that? Because maybe that would be next step to really understanding modeling, right?
Absolutely. That's one way of doing it. So the first thing is understanding what's going on with the models that are a little bit harder to access, that are a little bit black box, and asking the right questions and being, having a healthy kind of skepticism of what's going on. The other is then making this ecosystem of models work for you. And one way of doing that, of course, is having a bit of triangulation around what's happening. So you've got what models are telling you that are built into the platforms. But on top of that, you can, of course, build or buy your own models where you have a lot more control over how they're developed, tailored more to your business, much more transparency around the parameters and everything else that's going into them. And they help you to put another lens on what's going on and allow you to step back and validate basically what's being told to you by the other platforms and by the other kind of models that are everywhere that you have maybe less control over. But I think the other thing to really make models work for you that's really important to take away is that testing is more important than it's ever been before. Models, and especially models that evaluate media performance, so we're talking about media mix models, for example, they thrive on variance. So if your advertising spend is all flat, those models, those kind of modern media mix style models, they're not really going to be able to tell you anything. So turning ad spend up, turning it down, doing tests, trying new channels, turning things off occasionally, all of this variance is going to make the model so much more instructive, so much more informative, and make it work a lot better for you. So that's just a couple of quick tips, quick takeaways, things that I think should be on advertisers' minds when it comes to making the most of this world where models exist and it's hard to avoid them.
Models exist, it's hard to avoid them. And in order to understand them, you really have to test and iterate so that you can optimize as you go. Would that be the key takeaway for advertisers, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Understand what's going on, always be testing.
That sounds good. Thank you.